power-packed panel discussion on cultivating communities, not just transactions, CMO strategies for nurturing brand advocacy. So, ladies and gentlemen, to begin, I'd like to start off by welcoming our moderator for this panel discussion. Let's put our hands together for Irvinder, Executive Director, Deloitte, India. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, you can put your hands together and make some noise. Our final panel of the day. Our moderator is Irvinder, Executive Director, Deloitte, India. And keep that applause coming, please, for our panelists. Lalatendu, Panda, CMO, Reliance Retail. Ranjani, Krishnaswamy, CMO, Titan. Apoorva, Maheshwari, Head of Marketing, Bestseller. Mahip, Dwivedi, Vice President and Head of Marketing, Pepperfry. And Shwetal, Basu, Chief of Marketing and Communications, Shopper Stop.
Thank you so much for your patience, and we see a lot of seats vacant, but we'll do with that. So I understand this is the last session. We'll try to make it more interesting for all of you. So our topic is also very relevant, cultivating communities and building advocacy for brands. And thank you, ET, for getting us together as a very exciting panel. Thank you, panel members, to be here for this discussion. We all know these are uncertain times, and we've been speaking about this for the last almost 2 hours now, that consumers are seeking associations and bonding with the like-minded people or like-minded, the brands which kind of share their values. So therefore, the importance of communities is even more important these days. And we've seen some of the brands leveraging these sentiments of human beings to be associated with similar value propositions. And we have examples like Harley-Davidson. We've been speaking about this again in the afternoon today, that they've been, running these communities of brotherhood of riders. And they've been running it for almost 14 years. And they have almost about 5 lakh members who are so passionate about motorbikes, riding. And we have other examples from India, like your MTV, Hero Honda, or Royal Enfield we were talking about. Again, on the other side, in beauty and personal care and grooming, we have, Sunsilk, Be Beautiful communities. And we've been hearing and talking about this. Now, my question to the panel members is that it's not one-time exercise that you've built the communities and you've forgotten about it. It requires a continuous engagement with the consumers. How do you manage to engage with these communities on an ongoing basis, create that interest and the passion as an ongoing exercise? So maybe I can start with you from your experience.
Hi. So from a fashion business, let me tell you, what we wear, okay, is not just clothes. It's basically what we wear represent our identities. And every identity is very, very personal. While at the back end, we do a lot of personalization in terms of conversations and product conversations and all of that, but eventually 85 to 90% of what you sell is available elsewhere, right? Because every product is available elsewhere, and in some or the other form it is available. Exclusivity is very minimal. So then it's all about the experience that you give your customers. And that actually becomes a helm. Age-old days, the brand narrative would be controlled by the brand itself. And that would be the core for every marketer. But today, times have changed. It's the 80% of the brand narrative is today controlled by the customer. That's where your entire advocacy comes into play. And the only way to really get some good advocacy is when you bring customers together, like-minded people together, cohorts together, and you have conversations which is beyond your brand. At Shopper Stop, our First Citizen members itself is a very large community. Now, within that, we've gone ahead and done a lot of cohort working, persona working, based on their interest level, and we keep doing a lot of events for them. Like, we've got a larger community, which is a black card customers, which is a premium card customers. Now, for them, we organize a lot of events and experiences where money cannot buy. It is as good as a sailing experience or golfing experience. Or with Mahindra, we had done this tie-up where we took them, everybody, for this dirt track driving, which is there, which brings in people together. And what we've observed is, while there are brand conversations are very minimal out here, product conversations are very minimal out here, but because you're bringing them together with a purpose, you know that there is a connect with Shopper Stop that anyway happens. And we've seen these customers by almost 30% higher from us at a later stage because they feel that somewhere we understand them and we're going beyond managing a relationship with them rather than just selling and being transactional. So for me, I think community is also a relationship building exercise where you're not really hard selling, but you're really connecting with them at the core.
Finding them with the common interest.
Completely, yes.
And Mahip, coming to you, we've been talking about, so he's from Pepperfry, and the brand is not visible even after buying the product. So how do you manage to build that interest among the consumers?
So it is actually very interesting. So we do not have a brand, where you can go and say, कि मैंने Arrow का jacket पहना, right? It's basically a table, a chair, a sofa that you're buying, and it's basically a family buy, right? Because family comes, they sit on the sofa. जब तक बच्चे उस I would say bed पे उछलेंगे नहीं, तब तक they are not satisfied, right? So for me, the community is majorly those 300 offline stores those are in those vicinity, and you need to keep them engaged, right? And when I say that, we have a program called Pep Homies, which we had actually launched for influencers, but later on we realized that hey, we are building something. And you basically do these contests on the weekdays. It is maybe a kids painting, decorate a kids corner. If let's say somebody has moved new into the vicinity, go invite them and say that, hey, how do you like to design your house, right? Just on from those thinking prospect, we are also planning to launch our next campaign, which is, build your own house, where out of those communities in, let's say, one cities, we are planning to, run these contests saying that, come to us, perform well, and we are going to portray you in our shoot or in our TVC where 25 families are going to participate, right? And we give them budget to decorate one of your rooms like this. So the point is this, right? That you need to connect with them. It should not be a sell directly, right? And people should come back to you. And I think that's what matters a lot. I think on the other side, if you see, there is also a community who's always looking for deals, right? And for them, I think all the mediums online, whether it is, let's say, a group, whether it is a brand group, or let's say whether it's a deals group, right? They would love to come to you, look at a discounting product, visit the store and do it. But I think at the other hand, if you want to also build a brand loyalty, I think this is the piece that, brands would be thinking of it. And I think, builds a great recall for us.
So, LP, I think your point of view will be very interesting. Aloo pyaz bech ke aap kaise community banate ho?
So hi, good evening. I would just like to, take this in a slightly different way. If you look at, we are the largest retailer in the country, Reliance Retail, especially the grocery vertical I am part of. We are having more than 4,500 stores spread across 1,200 cities. So when you look at a physical store, we have got stores all the way from 2,000, 3,000 square feet, all the way going up to even 1 lakh square feet. Our entire life revolves around the catchment. So a catchment of 5 to 10 kilometer radius. So what do we do? I mean, our entire existence on the basis of catchment. So before we open a store, we actually go deep dive and try to understand what is the mix of the population in that catchment. What are the communities? So we always capture, before the store opening, the top 3 communities, which is accounting for, say, 80 to 90% of the, that population. Our entire store gets curated in terms of the assortment. Just to give an example, suppose if you know Mumbai is a cosmopolitan city, I am from Mumbai. Now, Ghatkopar, Mulund belt has a lot of Gujaratis, whereas in Navi Mumbai, there is a pocket which has got a lot of Keralites actually, because there are a lot of banks, offices and all that. Now, it is Mumbai, neither it is Gujarat, nor it is Kerala, but our store there is carrying all the assortment required to meet the need of that community which is staying in my catchment. So what happens? Now, if tomorrow Onam is there, it is getting celebrated, and a Keralite being in Mumbai, walking into my store, she gets to see that we are celebrating Onam. Now, the whole essence of this is that you emotionally, you are a transactional retailer. Day in, day out, you have to sell stuffs, right? But you go beyond the transaction, you try to emotionally bond with this consumer. And once you win her heart and mind, obviously business will follow. So the fundamental thing in our entire endeavor is that understanding our catchment, understanding the communities, making our store as their own local store. We never do this as something like that. We are a big brand, we are the number one corporate in the country, but we have never that. Because the entire process is that decentralizing completely. Even our store managers are hired from the catchment or the near vicinity. Many of our stores, if you see for over the years, the people who are coming to our store, they know the store manager by name and vice versa. So the store manager know individual customer. I mean, you can't expect a personalization beyond that, right? So what is important for us
but
is...
LP, if I can interrupt you there, that is also transaction. So people are coming there, buying the products. How are you going beyond transaction to build that relationship?
Yeah. So if you look at, for example, I mean, today there are, we are a mass market retailer. In a mass market retailer, if savings is something which is dear to everybody's heart. And one of the important things is that whether it is, let's say Chittaranjan Park in Delhi has got a lot of Bengali communities, Durga Puja is getting celebrated. Now we are giving an opportunity where all the, not only this transactional, participating in the local activities. We are going out of the catchment, contributing to that,
Being a
So,
part of their life and
absolutely, part of their
celebrations.
life, whether, sometimes some need which is being to be fulfilled. The whole thing is that this is not about transaction. Understanding and keeping the assortment is one thing, but beyond that also emotionally connecting. For example, I will tell you Calcutta, senior citizen lounge we have created, not necessarily like all these, fashion apparel stores, where people can play Rabindra Sangeet inside the store. They can just come and sit and play carom and chess, where we have earmarked the spaces, knowing that this segment of the consumer needs some handholding, care, they have money. Beyond that, they actually want somebody to look up to them, give a good deal. So this kind of things which go beyond any transaction, understanding. So community concept in a mass market retailer is basically you need to understand. We are not an iconic, different kind of a brand like Harley Davidson or something like that. So here, everybody for me is a consumer. So segmenting on the basis of their ethnicity, their regionality, their food preferences, is what is important.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Ranjani, we've been speaking about is building community a urban phenomena, or can we also take it to tier 2 towns or rural markets? What do you feel about that?
So I'll probably talk about three communities that I've seen built during my career. I think the first one was how Dove built community in the US. I was working for Unilever at that, and we were doing these self-esteem programs in schools for young girls. And I think what really worked in that community building was it came from a very strong purpose the brand had. It was wanting to debunk the stereotypical beauty that was being showcased and actively seeing what it was doing to societies, to young, impressionable minds of young girls. And from that, and that purpose was very linked to what they did as business. In the whole Dove product and philosophy is not about adding to your skin, but is giving back to your skin what water and other natural living conditions take us. So it was always about rebalancing moisturization on your skin, and there was no artifice in the product, nor was there any artifice in this community they were building. And it was a very strong community. We had girls coming up to us telling us about how body shaming or all kinds of things that were going through in their minds because of this world of beauty, which was so imposing. And that program, to answer to your question, ran across the country. It was not just metro, it went to smaller towns in a developed market. Let me contrast it to what I have had the privilege to build at Tanishq, where we built community of women that again came from a brand's shared value of saying that women in India are going through a tectonic shift. They're creating new narratives everywhere. Can we be the brand that celebrates narratives? So we created these chapters. In Chennai and in TN, it was called as Pudumai Pen, and we were celebrating women who were creating change in their own midst. And then we were bringing this whole set together at at a catchment level, like LP was talking about around the store, at a city level, at a state level, in celebrating women. And again, it came from a shared value that the brand has. And the new community that I'm looking to build in the next few years is the Raga community, which is about, again, women and the sorority of women, how women stand up for each other and how they're building the tribe. If I look back at all these three experiences, I think three things I have learned in this space. One, it's human nature to want to belong. So everybody wants to belong. And what really works, which is the second point, is if there are shared values which are personally relevant to the consumer and socially impactful for the brand to take up. And I think third, as you rightly said, that these engagements have to be calibrated very well, where there is equal representation of what the brand brings to the table and what the consumers want to talk about. Because community is people, people is conversation. Conversation is to be able to hear what they have to say, as well as to be able to reasonably respond to what they are saying. So I think to answer to your specific question, it is not a big city phenomena. I think the human nature to want to belong goes across, and value systems don't come with INRs written on it. So they work across the spectrum of affluence.
Yeah. We were speaking about Shakti Ammas as a community in the rural market, and then Fair and Lovely Didis, which we were speaking about many years back in the rural markets again. So Apoorva, a question to you. You have to generate this content to keep the consumers engaged as a community. A user-generated content where the people are talking to each other while there's some bit of moderation from a brand coming in. How do you see that happening, and what has been your experience?
All right. First of all, if you do not recognize Bestseller, you may know us from the brands that we retail. So we retail fashion brands like Jack and Jones, Vero Moda, Only, Selected. I'm hoping some of you would have shopped these brands. To your question, Irvinder, on what is the brand's role to play in community building and in branded community building, I think the anchor of it really lies in what is the role of that brand or that business to begin with. What is the purpose that they're trying to solve as a business and as a brand? And that's a very solid grounding as to why that brand should be or should have the right to build a community, right? Not every brand has to build a community. Not every brand or a business lends itself to community building either. In terms of what could possibly be the way around it is or how to go about is to really define what the brand's unique role to play is. Are they going to facilitate this community building? Are they going to moderate it? Are they going to be the spectator? Are they going to be the enabler? So what is a unique role to play for the brand? Also, what is the simple things, right? What is your tone of voice going to be? What would you sound like? Also, I think it would require a certain amount of bravery and letting go by marketers and who are really at the helm of building these branded communities. Because by definition, if you're building a community, you're letting people take it up and take it forward, right? You're building a community, you aren't building a clique. So what is it acceptable as, what is it acceptable for you as a brand to be seen in, to be spoken of? And if it's a branded community, what is allowed, what is not allowed? Very simple example, right? In Only, and Only is a fashion retail brand, Western wear for young women. And there is no room for any body shaming in the community rooms that we build, right? There is no room for any bullying. Nobody can do that. As a brand, we wouldn't allow for it. So what is okay? You can go ahead. You can give us feedback on whether you like our designs, whether you like the product quality, whether you like our store experience. We would love it. We would implement it, and that's great. But the moment you sort of come with any negativity around, because it's young women, right? Impressionable age. That is not acceptable. So things like that, what are the do's and don'ts and what are the no-go areas is something that you should probably be thinking of.
Yeah, Apoorva, we've been speaking about measurability of this entire exercise. So it's a slow process. You can't say that, you've done some initiative on community building and you start seeing some results immediately. There's no ROAS
There's no
as a
ROAS.
KPI here. So how do you
There's no
get funded?
there's no ROAS in the standard definition of what we are used to calculating and evaluating ROASs as. Also, it requires a buy-in throughout, right? Community. Nothing gets built overnight. A community is one of those things, and nothing starts producing overnight either. So the measurability of it is really, I have to say this because I've seen this with Royal Enfield, I've seen this with Harley as well. Uh, your ad will give you, your digital ad, your performance campaigns will give you a ROAS. Your community will be the one that will show up on a Sunday morning for a breakfast ride from Delhi to Manesar or Delhi to Jaipur. That is what community is.
I think there is, like she rightly said, there is a return, and we need to be seeing it very differently than the way we see performance marketing. And one of the measures of seeing if your community is delivering, like I think you were also mentioning in our in our chat previously, is the lifetime value of the customer. We have seen that when people are more engaged, they are more likely to come to you either often, or when they come to you, they spend more. So we have arithmetic that clearly shows that more vested people in your community are also your high value lifetime customers, if there was a term like that.
In fact, I just wanted to add here. I recently was in a meeting with one of the investment banking firms where they manage investments for the top notch guys. And obviously, their investment portfolios, it starts with a minimum of 200 crore and 300 crore as an individual. So they do a lot of community building, and they do a lot of these experiences, events, and all of that. And they build their communities where they are not only just talking to the person who's investing right now, but even connecting with their children, because it's like this that, that money would apparently get inherited with the children. So they're doing community building with the children also, right? And what they were working on a tech at the back end, then how much money is what they are investing against each family. So if they have taken a particular family for an India-Pakistan match, which is happening overseas, they have spent an X amount, and that money was getting tagged as an investment for future, for the lifetime, against that Mr. Mehra's family that was having. And then they used to keep a track that how much money they're investing, what is the return that they're getting on a long-term basis. So and they were literally thinking, I was amazed to see that they were not thinking about today, but 10 years from now, how profitable is this family going to be for me?
Just to add to, I think the point that, how do you actually look at ROI, right? Maybe you are not able to look at ROI, but I'll give you a real life example of, I ride bikes, okay? And I have a group with, let's say, a BMW or let's say a Royal Enfield, and me and my neighbor normally rides. And this time when I actually went with Royal Enfield last month to a place called Kohli Hills, there were around 40 bikers, okay? And they had recently launched a new Himalayan, so it was only the new Himalayan that we took. I came back and I was talking to my neighbor, and he said, how's the bike? Can I ride it, etc.? I said, it's really good. I just tried it out, right? Now he was going to Nepal and I went to Bombay, came back, and yesterday he said, I like the bike and just got delivered today, right? So you will get the ROI because it's a community who is referring, right? It is relevant, right? And it is not like that I would get anything from that guy, but I think it's more about if, let's say, the sofa was good from Pepperfry, people will come and buy another sofa from Pepperfry in another 2 years. I think that's what we need to look at in the LTV. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably activates in the surest possible way the hardest working tool that a marketer has, which is word of mouth.
All kinds of research have proven conclusively that if everything remaining same, if one person is emotionally more inclined towards the brand, two brands, everything same, then definitely it will also follow the world share. This is scientifically proven through a Harvard Business case study. This always happens. And what is critical is that, it is not about just winning if the brand is having a cause or a purpose, and is steadfastly pursuing it. I mean, in case of also community build-up, this is beyond transaction, and hence it ultimately pays dividend.
No, very well said. I think it is all about building advocacy and getting people to hear from your own peers and your own like-minded community members. Now, we can talk about the role of technology. How are we leveraging technology? Because every time you can't do physical events to bind these people or generate content and have engagements. How are you using technology, Ranjani? Maybe if we can ask this question to you.
Sure. Let me respond with an example. When we did this chapter of, Pudumai Pen, which in TN means New Age Woman, we started a community on a microsite, which was hosted on our website, and we encouraged women to come and write about their stories. This is a preamble to doing those store events and the city events and the state events. I think our ability, at to be able to reach a large amount of people through the social media networks and direct them to our microsite for them to leave their stories was one big leverage of technology. I think second, the ability of people to read other people's stories on a single platform at a single click. That was another means. Our ability to live stream some of our events for our customers who were not able to be physically present. And our ability to hear them, because there were also conversations which were two-way conversations. So whether it is the social media network, whether it is your own websites and microsites, whether it is even your WhatsApp for Business kind of sort of ecosystem, where you're able to reach, converse, three, spread that evangelism and for people to connect with each other. I think those have been some of the very basic ways we've used technology. I think the journey for us is on, and there's lots more to be done in that space.
Yeah, no, I think getting people's stories up there and many more people reading about those and opening up to talk about their own stories is very important. Digital plays a very important role. Apoorva, do you want to add anything to this?
Yes, in terms of an example I can quote is for Zivame, we had our set of shoppers who were the most frequent purchasers, our super fans, right? So we created a closed user group with them where we would any new product launches or any new innovations, because intimate wear as well as women's wear it's a tough subject, and it's not something that they can speak of openly. But it's amazing whether you do a focus group with and an on-ground physical open group of focus group with women customers, or you give them a private room online to speak of, the amount of insights that they can share, right? The amount of feedback they can give to you on any business problem that you want to solve. We were launching our app at that point in time, and we got such rich insights from them.
Sorry, I'm just going to take the liberty of adding. So when we were in the midst of COVID, I think most marketeers were very troubled to advertise or not to advertise, to come across and tell them that we're open for business or to sound opportunistic. We tapped into our Encircle database of customers to have lots of conversations with them through various, tech means. And it was such rich data that came in, both qualitative and quantitative, as to what was the sentiment in a certain town, in a certain state, in certain catchments in a certain city. I think that kind of visibility would have been impossible. Like Apoorva rightly said, old school was focus groups, but there is limitation of time to it. But here you can have an army of people speaking to an army of your customers who have really been with you and therefore are free to
more
give
authentic,
very
I would
honest
say.
feedback
Very
to you.
authentic.
Yeah.
I would just like to add, we sell fresh goods, fruits, vegetables, and everything, staples. One of our biggest thing, what we have seen is that there's a huge passion for health and wellness kind of products. People who are very strongly today, everybody is becoming more and more educated. Whether it's a flax seed, whether somebody is going for chia seeds, those kind of. Now, we have realized that this is a big community of people who are extremely, concerned about their health. So we have series of programs through our handle, in social media, where we are tying up with influencer and continuously creating this. So, and also we're asking the various user-generated content from the ground so that people are participating and this community is building. And this has actually helped in creating a authenticity for the brand. This brand does not always talk business or, sales and all this. It also is thinking about our goodness, so that is where it is paying dividend. And similarly, organic produce lovers, organic product lovers, this is today Instagram has played a significant role in terms of transforming this, where, in playing a very big role in terms of disseminating information. Even the tiniest of the cities, YouTube today penetration is very deep. All of us know that. But, I was very surprised. I was visiting a town which is barely even 30,000 population, where, I was interacting through a translator, in deep in Andhra actually. So he was saying, I watch all your, channels, and I was totally surprised that people are following this and trying to. So, and another set of women actually very much fond of, cooking as a medium. So various recipe videos with all the top of the line chefs, whether it is on Beer Brar, Sanjeev Kapoor, we do this series of content. I think technology is playing in disseminating your brand message and also enriching their life. And this is where you try to create this, set of people, the cohorts who are kind of, contributing to this.
I think TikTok has played a very good role in terms of, spreading it out very quickly. But you touched upon a very important point, role of influencers. Yeah. So now we were talking about, moderating these groups because you need to control the conversations in a certain environment. So a role of a moderator versus a role of an influencer. What do you think will be better? I mean, people as influencers might work better.
See, what we have seen is that if the influencer is authentic, and we don't always go for the macro influencer. A Salman Khan of the world didn't pay money, and then half of the people may not be UTG.
People
So
understand all
the
of that.
relevant influencer who is talking sense. So we go down to the micro influencer, maybe having a 30,000 followers or a 10,000 followers, but the person is speaking a lot of sense. In the smallest of the town, we find out maybe us gaon ka the panchayat का जो मुखिया है, he might be an influencer for me tomorrow because he has a good reputation. So this is where you are telling and making a person who is shopping in your store, probably he believes in your brand value, and then he himself is talking about it. Then there's a lot of credibility. So trying to create artificial. So influencer programs works when there is a lot of authenticity and credibility, rather than seeing from the lens of only business. So I believe this is where the brand marketers need to have this distinction very clearly, and it's important.
Yeah, I just wanted to add here. I was recently in a different forum where there are a couple of influencers on the panel. And one of the influencers, and I don't wish to name, but a very, very known influencer says that, look, for us, a brand is just equal to the money that you pay me. Okay? We take up work thinking that next month I need to go to Goa. I need X amount of money. And that's it. So today I will do it for LG, tomorrow I'll do it for Samsung. I have no loyalty. My loyalty is equal to the money that you give me. And what you tell me to do, I'll do, right? Now, in such scenarios, I think as brands, we will need to behave very responsibly. So pick and choose an influencer whose brand and personal brand matches with your brand, their ethos match, and where things in the connect come very, very naturally. And where there is a lot of belief in the product, the influencer also states, right? And hence, having the right influencers in the right genre is very important. Otherwise, beyond a point, it will start looking very fake. And the other thing is that know better than your own customers to be your own influencers.
Absolutely. I was about to say that rather than having external influencers from the community, you pick up.
So at Shopper Stop, in the last couple of months, we've started driving a lot of UGC because UGC gives you the best form of advocacy. And we've now reached almost around 3,500 to 4,000 UGCs being generated every month, where our customers become our advocates. And the only thing that you need to do is give them the right kind of experience, give them the right kind of experiences which is beyond your connective product, and give them the platform to talk. And we've been beautifully running this in the last couple of months.
See, on a similar note, right? I remember in Big Basket, we when I was at Big Basket, we did a survey in Tier 2 when we launched. So there was around 100 plus cities in Tier 2 when they expanded after funding, and the core problem was we were not able to sell enough, fresh fruits and vegetables, right? It was 2 months, campaigns were on, right? We were trying to put everything what was possible, and then we said, let's do a study. In the study, it came out that for an e-commerce it's easy because it's my phone, I will go and buy. For a fruits and vegetable, it is the head of the family who approves it. टमाटर कैसा है, right? आलू अच्छे हैं कि नहीं है, right? If that Loki, you can basically put your just nail and see that if it is fresh or not, right? So the problem was, how do you basically influence them if they want to do a quick order? Second is, it's basically a social life for them, right? In a tier 2 or let's say tier 3 cities today, husband and wife goes for a shopping not to do shopping like us. They go basically, it's a social thing. Wife does not get a time with the husband, and this is basically her outing. उसके साथ में सब्जी भी ले आएंगे, right? So this is basically the thing. Now the quality becomes a very significant parameter, that while you want them to get used to it on only, let's say, quick deliveries, the quality is something that is the only communication, right? And once the quality improves, you would need basically somebody local to, let's say, keep as a face of your brand, to basically talk to them over, let's say, something which may be a music show, but powered by Big Basket, but talking about your brand messaging, right? And this is another thing that I have seen, done offline in a separate segment where the problem was completely different, right? Versus, I think, influencer today, like for us, any content that we create needs to be on home, right? It needs to be basis a social voice. So when we do social hearing, there are months when you will see there is a 1 BHK thing trending, there is a yellow color sofa trending, there is only red heel sandal trending, right? And basis that, I think you need to choose your influencer. The niche is very important, and that's how the technology comes into place.
I think we touched upon this topic also in between somewhere, that from these communities, because they are authentically bonded to our, or have a good bond with our brand, they'll be the right set of people from who we can go to get the feedback. So apart from advocacy, have you used these communities, listened to the conversations to be able to use it for your brand? Maybe I can start with you, Shwetal.
Many times, in fact, the focus group discussions that researchers do is a form of that to a certain extent, right? And not just here, even in my previous organizations, when I was with food and grocery and other Tibilla retail, we used to do a lot of advocacy marketing, and where we used to get those group of women with similar interest levels all at a particular place, we used to invite. And whenever we had to do any kind of new launches in food and grocery, when it came to private brands, we used to get them to test those launches, to be the first people to test and give us feedback. And based on that, then a lot of changes and alteration would end up happening. And that we had made it as a process of the NPD launches. The new product development, that was a regular process. So there are multiple ways that we can use it. Like even out here, whenever we need feedback, we do those little small communities, coffee with customers. Even when we have these experiences and events, we interact with customers to try and get feedback about it. So there are different ways of doing it, and it's just that the purpose is very important. The objective is very important, that what do you want to achieve out of it.
Ranjani, in your category, taking the feedback and designing something basis this feedback, how risky it could be?
Not at all. Sometimes we have sessions where in jewelry, we used to take feedback from customers and sort of redesign or take some inputs into it. So I think we underestimate our customers. They sometimes have really a very unbiased lensing and perspective on things, and that can really add value both at the product level, even at a campaign level. We have in Tanish done campaigns that were completely from the community, by the community, for the community. Whether, like, I can give you a real life example. Gold exchange is a huge opportunity for any jeweler, both for acquisition as well as for retention of customers. And the best people to be able to send the message out are people who have exchanged with us, because the process of gold exchange at Tanishq is seamless. I remember this lady in Hyderabad said, मैं अपने 9 साल के बच्चे को भेज सकती हूँ. She said that in Telugu. Like, I can send my 9-year-old to Tanishq to pick up anything or to buy anything, because I know that you're not sold something basis on your own acumen to buy gold. So we use our community in various ways, and certainly inputs from customers to redesign product, redesign campaigns, check on the sentiment of the economy, and even to be able to do some blue sky thinking. All of that has been done at various levels during the course of the journey.
I also have to add, right? We've so far spoken of communities from a consumer perspective. We were, few months back, we were actually launching a new trade channel for us, right? Which was a lot of B2B community building, right? We got our trade partners, we got them to give us feedback on whether the product that we're designing is going to work for that channel or not, whether it's going to work for that region or not. And that is also, B2B community is also something that as a marketer we should be mindful of.
Yeah, no, I think the whole example of Shakti Ammas is that opening up a complete new channel for selling is definitely a very important one.
We have one of the largest loyalty program. More than 100 million customers are actually part of our database. We in every city has got this topmost loyal customers panel from whom we regularly go back to understand. We do pantry audit at their places to understand the future trends. Something which maybe your sales data may be proving, something happening which you might have missed out. Pantry audit means उनका fridge के अंदर में क्या रखते हैं, kitchen में क्या रखते हैं, all these things. And also they keep on giving feedback about your services, which is your store staff, behavior, mystery audit, which capture nahi karta, those kind of stuff. So what happens is that, listening to the customer, obviously all of us says that, but when you have a big loyalty database, going back, listening to them, coming back and fine tuning, curating, makes a lot of sense, and also they value this thing. And another small thing I would like to add, whenever you open a new store, nearby store ka jo number one loyal customer hai, usko bulate invite karne ke liye. No VIP guests, nothing. So we do that, and they also feel very happy that we get this recognition. Smallest of the town, your own customer who has been coming daily basis to one day feels that she is a VIP, and comes and cuts the ribbon and gets felicitated. So these are the small things in which you can actually take the entire relationship to a different level.
And I'd like to narrate a story. I met this lady who had inaugurated one of our stores, and of course I didn't know that it came up in my conversation with her, and she asked me, "Madam, वो store कैसा कर रहा है?" I said, बहुत अच्छा कर रहा है मैडम, मैंने खोला था. So it was almost like my auspicious hands were a party to the, that is how vested some customers feel when you bring them into your inner circle.
Yeah, and you can't buy this trust that you build for the brand among them. So that's the long-term value that we were talking about. So we still have 4.5 minutes. Do you want to add any more point, and maybe we can go to the audience to ask questions?
So I'll just add to this. So currently at Pepperfry, we actually have a division which is recommended by community. What happened was in the month of January, we were taking feedbacks from the customer when there was a Republic Day sale, saying that what is, and it was just one question, saying that after you buy, what is that one thing that you would want us to build, right? Maybe online or offline. And it came out of I think almost 35 or 38,000 entries. Lot of people does not know or they don't have a good education in terms of which bed they should buy, right? So we launched a campaign called Humse Pucho, right? Today we have a team of around 27 or 30 people. They only address customer queries, and the division is called assisted buying, right? So the moment and this is only for online, because they said when I go online, I'm confused, right? I don't know if this bed, which is 5 by 7, will fit in my room, which is of this size. A call would help, right? So if you go on our site, there is actually a button where it says, talk to expert, and this is voluntarily. Only when you click that, then only you get a call, right? And the response is tremendous, right? The conversion rate improves, although this is not something that we want to push it to them, but this is something that also had come up. So yeah. Yeah. correct.
Ranjani,
Correct.
can you pick up the mic?
Sorry. I think that's a fabulous idea. And if you were to open up that division for some of your customers to part-time come and take calls.
Yeah, correct.
LP, do you want to add any point to this, or we can open
I
the...
think broadly, all of us understand that we need to build community definitely, and especially in a country like India where every 20-30 kilometer the food habits are changing, multicultural, metros becoming cosmopolitan. You need to be very mindful of, especially if you are a physical retailer, or even if you are operating in that city, you have to be absolutely clear which community I am serving, and I have to nurture this community, I have to build this community. People need to genuinely feel it, you are sincere, you are authentic, and you are for their good. And if you win that trust, then rest of the things will follow. So half of the time, not seeing everything from the business lens, but from a purpose or from doing good kind of a attitude, that will help the brand.
Yeah, I think it's the trust for the brand, and from your point, Shwetal, trust from the next generation as well is important for the brands to look at, rather than more transactional, more performance-oriented marketing and looking at ROAS, for example. So looking at more long-term for building brand trust.
Eventually, there's a
ROAS is
business
also
reality
important,
number we
okay.
try karne hain, but this is a long-term investment. Yeah, and this is a long-term investment. As LP said, that it needs to be seen as a long-term investment. There has to be authenticity, that you're really authentic. And to ensure there is authenticity, I think sale conversations have to be completely out of it. The regular transactional conversation should be completely out of it. It needs to be genuine, it needs to be authentic, and it needs to be with a purpose.
I will talk about one last example. This is a personal example. Many people may not be knowing, in West Bengal, when Durga Puja happens, the soil actually gets collected from outside a brothel's house. Okay? Even Bengalis didn't know this. So when I was presented this script in Durga Puja, create a story, I'm sorry, the sex workers are not allowed to actually come and participate. उनकी घर के बाहर से मिट्टी लेते हैं, इसमें माँ दुर्गा का मूर्ति बनता है, but they do not participate. So I did a film on this in last year Durga Puja, and you won't believe the kind of response. And we went to actually Powai Bengali Association. We interacted directly with a lot of sex workers who are actually part of this thing. People were totally wowed, and this does not have any value in terms of. So my CFO was also asking me, how can you measure the ROI? So understand that this is you are trying to, and this film went viral. We got a lot of accolades actually for this, and we keep on doing this on a continuous basis. These are because we believe in this cause. Now, fundamentally, my latest film on a Father's Day actually was all about adoption. And many of you won't be knowing, on a Father's Day, the son finally finds out his father is not actually Janam ka pita, Karam ka pita hai. But in India, a lot of people think that I will not adopt because this is not my from my blood. But 4,000 or 5,000 people have now adopted various kids, and this is so we feel that ye mera khoon ka nahi hai. So you are trying to give this message as a brand, the societal message, adoption is good, rather than having somebody offer.
Yeah, I think we spoke about purpose.
Yes.
Purpose is very important when we are looking at investing time and money behind this. We have few seconds left. I don't know if you have the time for the audience. Any questions that we left out in our discussion, which are there in your mind, we can take that in half a minute. सब एड्रेस किया हमने?
No questions.
Okay.
I think we covered it all.
All right. Thank you so much, and it was a pleasure talking to all of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.